Welcome everyone to Cooking with Chef Mark. Welcome to my home once again. It's day 3 of Cooking at Home with Chef Mark. I'm honored that you guys are joining me in my home. It's really a lot of fun to be home sharing some cooking tips and tricks with you. If we're gonna be home and stuck at home, might as well make something delicious to eat, right? So what do I got today? I've got some good stuff. I'm going to be featuring some cooking with frozen ingredients. I've got some frozen ingredients I got kicking around. I'm doing stir fry today, and I got some kind of standard ingredients I think most people will probably have at home. Soy sauce, sriracha, and or sambal. If you're not familiar with this, I'm pretty sure these are made by the same company. This is spicier. We got some sesame oil. Hey, sesame oil, if you're buying this, I like to keep it in my fridge. It actually spoils fairly quickly once it's opened. And you can tell if it's spoiled if you taste it and it tastes like a cardboard box, just throw it out. It's no longer good. It actually has a pretty short shelf life. I just grabbed a couple basic spices here. Chinese Thai spice, some ground ginger. I love fresh, but I don't have any. Some cayenne pepper for heat. And I'm actually not going to use the cayenne pepper, but I wanted to bring it out because cayenne pepper is one of the things I think for spice, it's easy to overdo it with cayenne pepper. Remember with cayenne pepper that once you add it to something, it's just going to keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter. It's hard to turn that heat off. So I like to use cayenne pepper, such a small quantity that you could almost not taste it. That's going to give you an underlying heat. Hey Chip, let me get Chip out. Chip loves chicken. Like I mentioned yesterday, I have 2 cats. One of them, Chip here, he's my lover. He's a nice guy. Look at him. He just loves being held and pet. Of course, I'll wash my hands again. So I'm going to put him in jail, which is to say I'm going to put him in the bathroom so he doesn't keep interrupting us. Come on, you're going into jail with your brother. All right. All right, that's Chip. Now you've met both my cats. Yesterday you met Aspen, now you met Chip. So, anyways, cayenne pepper. Let me get back to that. The important thing with cayenne pepper, if you're looking for good spice, maybe you're making chili or something really hot, you want to use an underlying amount, right? So less than you think, up to half the amount that you think. But there's other ways to get good spice into food, good heat. And one of those ways is crushed pepper flakes, red pepper flakes. These red pepper flakes, you're familiar with them. Maybe sprinkle them on your pizza, right? Red pepper flakes. These actually have a lot of heat, and what's nice about them is that they're not as spicy as cayenne pepper. However, they are it's easier to control. So oftentimes I'll use these two in conjunction for something like for heat. And then of course Pueblo chilies. If you haven't been down to the Pueblo Chili Festival, amazing. We bought some Pueblo chilies down there this summer and had them in the freezer, and actually sauteed them the other day with some broccoli and some caramelized onions, and I served that with pork chops. So it's kind of a twist on green chili, pork green chili. It's really delicious for dinner. The mild ones, I'm kind of a spice whip. The mild ones just were like almost too, the medium ones rather, were almost too spicy for me because I'm such a spice whip. However, they're delicious. So those are all good ways to give underlying flavor. Sambal is nice too because it's got a lot of heat. It's basically kind of the liquefied version of this stuff. And then sriracha is a little less spicy. So I'm going to go through some of these ingredients with you here. All right, so I got a chicken breast here. I pulled this out of the refrigerator on Monday. It's been thawing in my refrigerator for 2 days, right? I'm always thinking 2 days ahead what I'm going to make. So what am I going to make on Friday? If you recall from yesterday, I'm making spaghetti and meatballs. I got a special twist on the spaghetti. It's gluten-free spaghetti. You're going to want to tune in to see how I make that. I've got a really fun twist for you. That'll be between 3 and 3:30 on Friday, so make sure you tune in. All right, so we're making spaghetti and meatballs, so I need stuff from meatballs. I got some ground beef in here. Ground beef. I'm going to do some Italian sausage with that as well. And then I made focaccia bread yesterday. It's not going to be fresh by Friday, so I'm going to grind that into breadcrumbs. That's going to be my binder. I'm going to make a tomato sauce, and then, of course, my twist on spaghetti. So this is going to go to my refrigerator to thaw, right? 2 days in advance, right? If you're buying it fresh, you don't have to worry about that. But if I'm pulling stuff out of my freezer, 2 days to thaw is highly recommended. You can speed thaw, which is to run it under cold water, but that water needs to be flowing. That kind of helps transfer, keeps things fresh, and it's a very fast way to thaw things. You can usually thaw something that's like rock solid in about 2 hours. Or the defrost cycle on a microwave. Works great, it really does. I do that actually a lot myself at home if I forget the thaw stuff. But think 2 days in advance, right? So I got my chicken here. I'm going to pull out some frozen veggies, right? So you go to the grocery store and maybe you're bulk buying. A couple different kinds of veggies here. I like these a lot. My friends over at King Supers did a great job keeping the shelves stocked. So I like to thank them for working hard. You know, they've gone into these reduced hours to make sure that the grocery store shelves are being full or as full as possible. I've heard from good authority, supply line's doing great. They've got plenty of food. It's just they're busy, and they're busy because people aren't eating in restaurants. So people who would normally be eating meals out, and I know people who eat every single meal out, all of a sudden are eating at home. So it's just increased demand. But these are really good. And then there's another one that I really like as well, and I like doing this with stir fry. And it's the stir fry starter with noodles. These are really delicious as well. Sometimes I'll just saute some chicken, and I do curry powder, some cumin, cardamom, and curry powder, and I kind of go with like a more of an Indian flair to that, or a curry flair to that. So really, I enjoy that a lot. But today I'm just going to go with some frozen veggies. Both of those are great, but of course, whatever you like. Okay. So with these, I go into the microwave in the bag, and I'm going to microwave until they're hot. Right? If you don't like the microwave, of course, you can thaw them. 2 days in the refrigerator. Please don't thaw stuff on the counter. A couple reasons for that. You're outside the temperature danger zone after 4 hours. You can start growing hazardous bacteria. But on the flip side, you want things to be warm and room temperature before you cook them. So don't be afraid to get stuff out of the refrigerator and let them come up to room temperature. Keep in mind that things need to be above 40 degrees before they start getting potentially hazardous for 4 hours. So this chicken, let's see, it's 3 o'clock now. I pulled this out at lunchtime when I got home, so it's been out for about 3 hours, but it's still cold at the touch. But that's going to help it cook evenly. And because I'm going to eat this right away, it's within that 4-hour temperature range. So you don't have to worry about pulling things straight out of the refrigerator and getting into the pan. In fact, it's going to take longer to cook stuff, and you're not going to get an accurate as a cook. Okay, so I'm going to give these 3 minutes. Just take the temperature, get the temperature into them a little bit. Not really cooking them, I'm just getting them thawed out. Okay, I'm going to cut my chicken here in a minute, but before I do that, I got a couple potatoes here. And I want to talk about knife skills. I want to talk about if you're at home and you want to practice something to be a better all-around cook, it's time to work on your knife skills. And I'm going to show you when I taught culinary arts at the Scoffier School in Boulder, I would give my students a knife skills practical, and I would show them or ask them to do this exercise. Okay. So with the skin on, what I'm going to do is cut off both ends, and then I'm going to square this off. Cut, turn, cut, turn, cut, turn, and cut. Okay. Then I've got basically a squared off potato. It's not perfect, but what I'm going to do is cut planks, and by being careful, I can keep my planks virtually together. I'm going to stack this. You can see now I'm going to cut batons. And again, I try to keep this together, and you'll see here, you'll see why in a moment. And I would time my students. I would give them, I timed this. This took me, when I was just doing it as a demo, I could do this in about 15, 20 seconds. I'd give them 2 minutes. And then you can see I end up with basically a really beautiful dice. Very little skin, just a little bit. Yeah, I have a little bit of waste over here, but I'm not really worried about that because potatoes are cheap. Okay, and I have a beautiful diced potato. You can see how much volume I have there. This is something that I would ask my students to do as practical. And then we would take these potatoes, can do a million things with them. Because I'm doing breakfast for dinner tomorrow, I'm gonna make these into hash browns, right? Diced hash brown potatoes. Maybe some onions, maybe some peppers. I'm gonna poach some eggs. I'm gonna go over with everyone tomorrow how to poach an egg. I'll show you again, okay? This is something you can do at home. Grab a couple, potatoes are cheap. Grab some, dice them up, either make mashed potatoes out of them, hash browns, and I'm gonna store these in cold water in the refrigerator, so I'm gonna cover them with water. They're not gonna turn brown on me overnight. It's actually gonna leach out a little of the extra starch, and they're gonna cook beautifully. Chop, flip, chop, okay? You'll notice I chop and I flip this way. That's actually quicker than rotating. It's just one of those little things. I'm looking for the squarest side. I push down, holding my knife with a pinch grip, cut, rotate, and I'm gonna rotate this towards me as opposed to this way, because if I rotate away from me, now I'm not on that square edge. So if I rotate this to the right, I'm on that square edge and it's not rolling on me. Cut, rotate on the flat side again, cut, rotate on the flat side again, and cut, okay? This might feel wasteful, and if you're worried about that, go back and dice this as well. I'm just gonna, because that's 90% skin, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that away, okay? Cut my planks. It's my term for them. I'm sure there's an official French term. I'm sure I knew it at one point. I've been cooking for almost 30 years, so I think that's one of those cases of, you know, you just do something long enough, you start forgetting what you once knew. All right, and now I'm gonna cut into batons. And I'm gonna make 3 cuts that way, so I have 4 batons, and maybe 5 cuts this way. And now I'm gonna go into my dice. Okay, I'm rocking my knife. See how my knife is pushing through? What I'm not doing here, folks, is I'm not coming straight down. That, you're just muscling the knife. You want the blade to do the work. So you can see here, all right, the blade's gonna do the work. And you see how the knife, the food's kind of sticking to my knife, and I can just flick it out of the way, right? And if you cut something, and it's in your way and you cut, and you end up cutting it a second time, which I call a second strike, it's okay. It takes a long time to get used to having things sticking to your knife and kind of working through that. If you're double striking food, it's okay when you're learning, because what you don't want to do is reach underneath your knife, and then, you know, if you don't have that high-speed connection between your brain and your hand, you can accidentally come down on yourself and cut yourself. So if food rolls, let's say I cut this and it rolls, and then I'm gonna end up double striking it, fine. Just let it go. You know, don't worry about perfection, worry about safety, and don't worry about speed. Speed will come if your technique's really, really good. You know, I see some people, sometimes I see a home cook, specifically home cooks, are so worried about having everything so perfect that it's like they can't see the forest through the trees. We want things to be consistent, but perfect. You know, I would rather have it done and in the pan and enjoying it, and if one's a little slightly off than the other, then so be it, than spend an hour chopping a potato, and then, you know, what are you doing? You're eating at 9 o'clock as opposed to dinner time at 6:30. So it's okay to go with the flow. All right, so I got a bowl here. Let's throw this into a bowl. I'm gonna top this off with water. Cold water. Perfect. Plenty of cold water. You really want to cover them. You don't want any sticking out because they will turn brown. You got plenty of cold water in there. And then I'm going to cover this plastic wrap. I like commercial plastic wrap. It lives right there above my fridge. And I'm going to, here's how I do plastic wrap. I leave it attached to the, let's get it in the way here. All right. I'm going to leave it attached to the plastic wrap. I pull more than I need, and then I take my finger and just straight across like a straight edge, and then that's not going anywhere. That's nice and that's good to go. Okay. So if you don't have one of those, recommend getting one. Restaurant Depot, I learned this today. I was there earlier shopping. Restaurant Depot is now open to the public temporarily during these times. So they went ahead, you don't have to have an account, it's account only and restaurant only. So you can go there and shop now, and they sell those, and they're not that expensive. I want to say they're $13 or $14. And I find that I go through, at home, I go through about one a year, and I use it a lot. In a very busy restaurant, I worked in a facility where we do thousands of meals every week. Like, sometimes we do 1,000 a day. With a country club and a banquet hall, and we had to-go food. We had a lot of different operations. I'd go through about one a day. So, pardon me, it was a whole different ballgame there. All right. Remember, trash can loose so I can walk around and bring it over where I'm working. Okay. Clean as I go, I'm nice and clean. It's time to cut my chicken. I'm going to grab a different knife. I got my knife block over here. I'm going to grab a nice knife for cutting chicken. I'm going to use, I got a whole knife block. I'm looking for my fillet knife. Oops, there it is. Perfect. Okay, everyone. Got a fillet knife. This is a boning knife, so it's semi-flexible. And these I only use these for cutting meat, which is why they're so sharp. Right? I don't go through, and you're not going to see me cutting vegetables or anything else with this. I only cut meat with this. And then to keep things clean, sanitary, go ahead and grab a couple rubber gloves here. Again, if you're going to Restaurant Depot, or if you're going to Standard Restaurant Supply, which is 64th and Federal, always open to the public restaurant supply store, grab a box of gloves. They're really handy, particularly if you're trying to be as safe as possible. I see people out in public wearing rubber gloves, and it makes sense to me if that's going to make you feel like you're being a better job at staying away from people, CDC guidelines, and then go for it. So this just fell off naturally, but this is a piece of fat here. This is what we call feathery fat. If you cook this, it would kind of crisp up and render. And so I'm not going to use that, but if it were attached, I wouldn't necessarily be feeling like I had to get every single piece off. This is frozen chicken that I got, so when they butchered this, they did a good job. They actually pulled off all the silver skin. That silver skin, and here's actually a little tiny piece, so maybe they didn't get it all off, but good. That silver skin's tough. You want to get that off. I'm going to dice my chicken, so I'm just going to pull through here. I'm going to make a couple cuts this way and a couple cuts this way. All right, and then this is, if you recall from yesterday, this is IQF frozen chicken. IQF is individually quick frozen, and is chicken that I can pull out 1 or 2 pieces at a time. I don't have to pull out like a whole block. Of course, fresh chicken would be amazing, but for this dish, I'm just going over showing you how to use some of that frozen food. This is the product I have, frozen chicken breasts. Each one is individual. There's maybe, 10 or 12 in here. And then I dated it. I purchased this on 3/13. That way, if I buy more chicken and I add it to the freezer, I label it, and I know which one's older, and that way I'm using the freshest product first, or the oldest product first, rather. And that's important in the freezer too, because typically the guideline, the recommendation is you only freeze things for up to 6 months. So if you kind of stick with that, I think that's a good guideline. Right? In my kitchen, I did not design this kitchen, but whoever did a great job. Here's my dishwashers right here. Voila. So I love this kitchen because I have refrigerator, my stove, got my trash can right here. And once again, I leave my cutting board. I sanitize it before I start cooking. I leave it right here. My knife and my cutting board live right here because I cook a lot at home, 3 meals a day, and I'm ready to go. Okay, next. My vegetables. They feel good and warm. Wash my hands. They feel good and warm, so they're ready to go. I could do this completely from frozen, but it takes quite a bit longer. And this is something that I make myself for lunch, some variation of this once or twice a week. Frozen vegetables, they're a convenience item, and I know they might not have as much nutrition as fresh vegetables. I love fresh vegetables. I love them, but if I'm working with broccoli, for example, I can bring a pot of water to a boil and blanch those, shock those. And if I'm just zipping home and I only have a few minutes to make lunch, I'm going to go ahead and use a convenience item. I think sometimes people think that chefs aren't beyond that, but if that makes getting food on the plate, on the table a little faster, then that's what I'm going to do. It's okay. It's okay to use your resources. All right, I've got my frozen chicken diced. I've got my frozen vegetables heated up. I have my mise en place. All right, I've got my soy sauce, my sriracha. I'm going to do sesame oil. I'm going to do a little bit of ground ginger. I'm not going to do Chinese fried spice. I love it. I love it. I really love Chinese fried spice with pork. And the 5 spices are, I can never memorize this. Anise, star anise, which is that licorice flavor. Fennel, cinnamon, cloves, and black pepper. Those are the 5 spices in 5 spice. And that's a pretty standard thing. This is just the stuff I get at King Soopers. If you go to one of the specialty spice purveyors, it has so much flavor, so aromatic. This stuff's okay. It's not bad. Okay. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can take a pot. I can throw in some of these ingredients. So I usually do soy sauce, equal parts soy sauce and water, a squirt of this until I get the right spice level. Bring that to a boil, add some cornstarch slurry. So I mix cornstarch with water, bring that to a boil, stir that in so it's kind of thick. Finish that with some sesame oil and pour that as a sauce over my saute. Or I'm just going to do it right in the pan. I'm not going to worry about thickening it. So that's what I'm going to do. Because again, if I'm getting home, I have an hour for a lunch break. And I want a nice, hot, fresh lunch. I want to be able to make lunch in minutes. Meals in minutes. Okay. My pan is preheated, just like I did the last 2 days when I'm sauteing. I preheat my pan with nothing in it. It's clean, it's dry, it's empty. It's been on the stove, on low, this entire time we've been on the air. So I even started before, right? So I'm going to add some oil, add my oil to a squeeze bottle. That way I can meter out the right amount. Don't saute with extra virgin olive oil. It'll burn pretty much instantly. So I recommend a light oil. I like canola, but safflower, even coconut oil, you know, just find a light oil, whichever one you like, stick to it and get it consistent. Use that for everything, right? So if you look at a recipe and some call for one oil, some call for the other, just identify that it's a light oil that you're sauteing in. Buy the one you like and use it for everything. Right, no need to have 10 different oils. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my pan. Beautiful. Okay, my pan's getting hot. Get my chicken in there. Hear that sizzle? Okay. You remember from yesterday how I was saying that a preheated pan is naturally nonstick? So I'm using a Scan Pan, which is SCAN. It's short for Scandinavian pan. I love them. I've had mine now for 5 years. I cook, probably 75% of my meals out of that one pan. Really easy to clean up. Again, I'm cleaning as I'm going. Really easy to clean up. Really can handle high heat. But when you're working with any pan, whether it's cast iron, Scan Pan, stainless steel, if you preheat them, they're going to be naturally nonstick. Okay. Just a little shake here. Okay. Just a little shake. And I've got a couple pieces sticking there. That's okay. Grab a spoon and give it a little poke. There we go. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to cook that chicken till it's about 70% of the way cooked. How can you tell? Well, you can always break one open, but you know we all know that chicken is cooked when it's no longer pink on the inside. And keep in mind that chicken is potentially hazardous if it's undercooked. It's not like chicken's poisonous, and then once it's cooked, it stops being poisonous. If you eat raw chicken, you're probably not going to get sick. The reason we avoid raw chicken is because the texture is not very nice. You know, if you've ever bitten into a piece of raw chicken, you just know it right away. So, I'm not telling you to undercook your chicken. The point of this conversation is please don't overcook it, okay? So, if your chicken's always dry and it's always chewy, it's because you're overcooking it. So what I like to do is I like to cook it to the point where it's just ever so slightly pink on the inside, ever so slightly pink on the inside, and then let it rest for a moment or two, and the carryover, the residual heat will finish cooking it, and it's perfect. That takes practice, right? So if you get over raw chicken is going to kill me, and you get to it's potentially hazardous, I'll probably be okay. And kind of just try it. Just, you know, particularly if it's really, really chewy, really cut back on the cooking time. And break into it. Take one out of the pan, cut into it, and look at it, and inspect it, you know. Throw it back in the pan, or throw it away, whatever. Just treat your family, treat yourself to chicken that's not overcooked. Okay. Give it a little shake here. Yep. Okay, I got good. Chicken's coming along. And this is about halfway cooked already. I can kind of tell because it's diced, you know, it's got all those sides, I can kind of, when I'm moving it around, I can see there's a piece that's pink, and then I roll it around, and then when I come back to it, rolls back around, it's no longer pink, so I'm doing great there. Okay. Here's a little trick to move your chicken along. I'm going to add just a touch of water to the pan. It's going to kind of help steam it a little bit. Not so much water that I'm drowning, just enough to kind of deglaze, get some of that stuff that's stuck to the bottom of the pan to jump out of it, help the cooking. And I want to, maybe adding half a teaspoon of water, or a teaspoon of water to a hot pan, and I bring it up, just back up the temperature. Okay, here's my veggies. These look great. Okay, what I love about these veggies specifically is they've got a really nice appealing color to them. Let me show you. Okay, really nice appealing color. So I'm doing one chicken breast for a whole bag of veggies. Pardon me. Honestly, for me, that's lunch, right? Because these bags of veggies, let me take a look here. Calorie-wise, 60 calories per serving, and there's 4 servings per container. So what is that? 240 calories right here, and then one chicken breast is like another 120 calories. So we're at 400 calorie lunch, and then we got a little bit of oil, a little bit of stuff, so maybe 450 calories for all of that food. All of that. Certainly, I think if you're a big eater like me, that's going to be lunch. And then if you have smaller eaters or normal sized people, that could be lunch for 2 or 3 or 4 people, or even dinner. Okay. So, here we go. I'm just going to do this. Usually I do this right on the stove. I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to do a little bit of soy sauce, just right out of the container. I'd say that's about a tablespoon there. Here, sriracha. Just going to give us a squirt. Come on, there it goes. Yep, squirt of that. I want it nice and spicy, so I'll add a little bit more. Okay, sesame oil. Nice sesame oil. Ooh, that smells good. A little bit of ginger. Just going to give that a shake, shake, shake. A little bit of this goes a long way. Definitely need some salt. Definitely needs. It smells great. It smells great. Definitely needs some salt. Okay, let me give this a shake. Just back up the temperature, and then I'm going to give that a taste. Okay. So this is my standard kind of stir-fry dish that I make myself. Once you've kind of nailed the confidence to get the chicken cooked and get the veggies timed out and everything, and again, if I were making this for myself at home, this is 5 minutes. It really is. Particularly if I know I'm cooking, I might have the chicken thawed and have the veggies in the refrigerator ready to go. I don't even need to microwave them at that point. Okay, beautiful. You could do this with rice as a side dish. You can make a salad. A great salad dressing is these same ingredients. I just loosened some lettuce tossed, something crunchy, like those Asian style crunchy noodles that you find in the grocery store. That's delicious. I like sliced radishes. Salad, you know how to make salad. Okay. Let me taste. Let me see how we're doing here. Okay. So this looks really nice. It's got good color. The veggies are nice and bright and colorful. I'm really proud of how those look. Certainly, again, you can do this with fresh veggies. Do what you want. I think that looks great. It's nice, steaming hot. You can see here how those ingredients, they kind of thicken up on their own. They do a good job of kind of sticking in there. And, ooh, let me see here. Delicious. Too big of a bite. A little hot. Spicy hot, too. It's delicious. This is really easy to make. So take your favorite frozen vegetable, grab some chicken, make sure it's thawed, dice it up, preheat your pan, grab a couple of ingredients. You can do tamari if you want. You can leave this in or out. It's not really a recipe, it's just a technique. So much of cooking is just putting food in a pan and stirring. It really is. But if you follow those guidelines, preheat your pan, have your food thoroughly thawed before you start. Have all your ingredients ready to go. And while you're cooking, if you have a little bit of downtime, think about what you're going to make 2 days from now. So tomorrow is Thursday? Tomorrow's Thursday? Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. What am I making Saturday? I don't know yet, but I'm going to know by the time tomorrow rolls around. I'm going to think about it. So I'd like to thank my friends at Appliance Factory, Mattress Kingdom, for sponsoring these cooking segments. They are an essential business, which means that they're open. All of our locations are open. What that means for you is if you need a freezer, right now, Appliance Factory's got special buy freezers, which means they have them in stock. So you can order them on the phone, you can give them a call, you can go through their web sales, we can deliver, you can pick up in store, you can pick up at the warehouse, which is 84th and I-25. We've got dishwashers, we've got tons of appliances in stock. So my friends over at Appliance Factory wanted to let me know that they are open for business. Some of our other competitors, unfortunately, are not doing business right now just because of safety guidelines. They're not deemed an essential business. So if you need a freezer, refrigerator, if you're purchasing, if you're taking the stay-at-home, taking that stay-at-home order seriously, pardon me, because you maybe have somebody at risk in your family, and you want to have good freezer space, good refrigerator space, reach out to my friends at Appliance Factory. They're a great business, and I'm really proud to be associated with them. Ooh, still hot. I'm Chef Mark with Appliance Factory. Thank you for cooking with me in my home. I'm going to be here all week cooking at home, and if we get a big response to this, I'll be here next week as well. Thanks for tuning in.